of the whole thing. Then Krishna provided it. So this false ego is very much part of it. The whole thing is based on false ego. We are here to live a life of false ego. It's the foundation of everything. You know, I'm sitting on a raised seat out of false ego. Feels good. Looking down upon you. Yeah. I like it. False ego. So everything is based on false ego. So it's not at all so confusing. It sounds like you need need to ask more questions, and then it will be clarified. And then you'll get it. Someone else? Yes. Ananda Krishna.
Krishna Maharaj, you mentioned Tamal Krishna Maharaj, who challenged some of the understanding of Srila Prabhupada and Bhagavatam. So he did this because of challenge. He was challenging that. So he went into the establishment to challenge. Yeah. So, and I can see also that Prabhupada started off in a more challenging way to challenge the establishment. So, and now these are still many aspects of that we are more in coalition with the establishment, and it seems we are not having this revolutionary spirit. So what should be the approach nowadays in general, or what are your thoughts on this? Should we be opposition or a coalition?
It's clear that we are a revolutionary movement. That's very clear. We want to change the world. Now, Vaisheshika said in one Sankirtan presentation, he said, we used to climb over the wall. Nowadays, we go through the door and we just ask for permission. But the goal is the same. We're trying to get inside. Right? So it's not that whether we go through the door or whether we climb over the wall, the objective is the same. We got to get inside and change things around. So it doesn't matter. We can have, in the past, Prabhupada was very protective of his new devotees, like being protective of a small plant, small creeper, with a fence around it. And they were very careful about associating with the material energy. Like I was, in the days that I was in a temple commander in Vrindavan, sort of like late 70s and 80s, there were no other books than Prabhupada's books allowed in the temple. And if they were found, they were burned. They were burnt, nowadays, like that's sort of like, some people go like, you were burning books? Really? Yeah, we were burning books. We were burnt. I did it myself. So that was the era, right? So we had a very protected Krishna conscious movement, and there were things like a devotee shouldn't go out alone. A devotee should never be out alone. Should always be two. I mean, nowadays that doesn't fly anymore, does it? So it was a different ISKCON. It was a very young ISKCON. They didn't have mature devotees, and it was very sheltered, and the devotees were sort of kind of very much protecting each other. Then there were a few who were a bit more senior, who had been close to Prabhupada, but they were also very young, actually. And they became big leaders after 10 years in the movement. She called it's pretty young, devotee, but they became big leaders. And now we are having more maturity in our movement, and with that, we also know that you cannot just ignore human nature. As you get mature, you realize, it's easy, just Hare Krishna. I know outside these hands is only Maya. Only. So I will not look. I will never look. It's hard, right? To keep these hands closed. One will want to peek through the fingers. It's natural. Where I grew up, there was a Catholic monastery. And this Catholic monastery had a wall of 7 meters high with glass on top. And I walked past there many times. And I must tell you, even as a kid, I was wondering, who is the wall for? For the people on the inside or for the people on the outside? Yeah. And I had a feeling it was for the ones on the inside. Yeah. To block out the world. And so ultimately, in maturity, we realize we cannot block out the world. The world will come back. The world is also within us. Right? Maya is not only outside. That's what Bhaktivinoda Thakur says. Maya is also inside. So therefore, we do not have to totally ignore human nature. But Kavi Karnapur says what we need is purified naturalness. So these days we have a more natural presentation of Krishna consciousness and a more natural way of practicing our Krishna consciousness. With that, we lose some protection, and some people are actually becoming casualties because of it. With that, sometimes we lose focus in the preaching, and it sounds a little watered down, what we're presenting, instead of like straight, this is what it is. But still, we can't go back. We can't go back culturally to what we once were. We have to go forward, and we have to grow, and we just have to have the maturity to allow human nature to be expressed, to connect with human nature. When we were very new, then it had nothing to do with any philosophy. So, but when you're more mature, then you can enter into dialogue. Like we're seeing that Baladev Vichapusan is studying Sankaracharya to enter into dialogue. Now it's not recommended for us to study Sankaracharya, but Baladev he could do, because he was very mature. So as one gets more mature, one can also take more things from outside of Krishna consciousness and engage them. Ravinda Sarup was once saying, it's an interesting analogy, he was saying that it is like everything in this world, we look at it, and we can also look at other literatures and so on. But we must look at it as boga. And when you have boga, you get some vegetables, you cut off the bad parts. So you have to cut off the bad parts and keep the good core, and that you can engage. Yeah? And then you can offer it to Krishna. So he said in this way, we can use boga out there and offer it in Krishna service. That's true. It's possible. Of course, you've got to be careful, and you've got to be expert that you know how to cut. And if you forget to cut something, you might bring in some stuff that is not desirable and water down your whole teachings. It is said the religion that marries the spirit of the age will be a widow tomorrow. Right? So, and then we make a choice. And some will be on the liberal side, and some will be on the strict side. And I remember here we had a play performed called Maha Strict Ananda. We were right here in this place. So, and you can, opposite of there, you can let it all hang out, Swami. Yeah? So we have to find, somewhere, we have to position ourselves somewhere according and make our contribution to what we and our spiritual, what we believe and what our spiritual master blesses. And we cannot be all the same. much, Swami. So I have a liberal streak. It's true. I do have it. Yeah. It's sort of, I grew up like that. Right? And sometimes people look at me, he's too liberal. I don't know what to do, you know. But I never compromise on principles. Never. Not a millimeter. So those who think I'm too liberal, they're only looking at the form, the external form. Because I'm not liberal at all. And they'll find out, maybe, when they get close to me, that I'm not so liberal. But small things, I don't care. But big things cannot be changed. Big principles cannot be changed. Form can be adjusted. But you know, like, then you get the whole ISKCON social life, and the ISKCON men and women, they hug and they kiss and just that. Like, you know, I think that's taking it to the edge. I think so. It's taking it to the edge. Some might go over the deep end in that process. So I think got to understand the dynamics. The culture may change, but the dynamics don't change. So we still have to protect our purity. Still be careful. Oh. But then you have someone who stands up and is like trying to hammer the other devotees. This standard, that standard, standard, and then, you know, it's the opposite result. Burns everybody out. So that also doesn't. So it's not easy how to position ourselves. Anyway, I wish you lots of luck. And may you make a contribution. All of you. Yeah. The manager says it's time. So. The last question. Okay.
You actually already mentioned that Simhacalam is already recognized Puranas, and Shankaracharya also didn't give any commentary on Simhacalam. He left it pure. So, if it is recognized Puranas, then nowadays why not the Mayavadis actually taking it as it is, where actually already mentioned that Krishna is the Supreme Personality Godhead. And another question is this, especially in the Sri Vaishnavas, they normally tell that Vishnu is the source of the even Krishna also. So, if they also study the Srimad Bhagavatam saying we are studying, then why this construction is a little bit different?
Yeah. Differences will be there and have been there in traditions because of different mentalities. And it is said that different devotees are reaching different levels in their personal development, and therefore there are different philosophical outlooks, different levels of worship, and so on. Obviously, everyone has an agenda to put his own particular tradition before the others. So they will not just accept the truth like this. But it is our job to systematically explain the theology of the Bhagavatam. It is Jiva Goswami, who is in his Satsandarbhas, taken the Bhagavatam and drew the theology out of there. Theology means it is a systematic presentation of a particular belief, a particular understanding of the truth. Yes. So we have to just enter into dialogue. And people like yourself, who have some cultural exposure to these other sampradayas, they should especially take up that mission, to enter into that dialogue. And they should study the Bhagavatam and the Sandarbhas, because the Sandarbhas is the theological presentation of the Bhagavatam. And then you have ample of ammunition to point out where the defects are in their understanding and establish this, the Bhagavatam, as the topmost, which it is. So the Sri Sampradaya is a bona fide Sampradaya, but they have not fully understood the absolute truth, but still the result of their activities will give them Vaikuntha, eternal life. Therefore they're bona fide. You can get out of material world, but you cannot enter into Golok through that. So they still miss out, but they'll get eternal liberation. So it's bona fide, it's good. But it's not complete. Therefore, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta had the desire to absorb these other sampradayas into the Gaudiya Sampradaya. So that's our mission. To defeat Sankaracharya, and he can use Madhvacharya's arguments, to defeat Sankaracharya, and then to absorb all the Vaishnava Sampradayas in the Gaudiya Sampradaya. And if you could take up that mission, that would be... No, really, I'm old. I don't know how much time I've left. I might not make it in this lifetime to finish that job. You're still young. Why don't you take it? Just take that part and do it. But you have to study that. And teach. And be bold. That would be wonderful. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.